So I'm going to safely drive, but I'm going to make this video because I can talk and drive. And I really wanted to make a video because I missed one last night, and I attempted twice this morning to make one. But they got really long because I was dealing with Zoe, and because I ramble on about things that really don't matter. I wanted to touch on something that's happened, something that has happened in the process of everything in my last 2 years, that has taken notice and a lot of people ask me about. I have lost about 50 to 60 pounds. I'm almost into the 160s for my weight, which is like 10-ish pounds or more lighter than I was in high school, which actually has less value than the fact that I can run 13 miles to me in a lot of ways, but it still is quite noticeable. So about 2 years ago after I had Angie, I got up to about 225, and it was I was plus size range for sure. I'd been there for a little while anyways, but like I had gotten up to like a size 18. Size 20 was like just a bit too big. Size 18 was like just right. I could maybe fit in a 16 if I had like wanted to feel suffocated. So I was fine. I just had this mentality that I was plus size and that was fine, and I was gonna rock it, and I was gonna feel good about myself, and it was whatever, because I wasn't gonna do anything to change it for a couple months. And then it started to get to me that I know what I'm like fit. I was in the military. This is a thing. I know what I'm like smaller. So and I had been a runner before, so I initially tried to take up running, and I was so out of shape it didn't go anywhere. So then I took up other things, elliptical. Started a weight loss challenge with Courtney and Mike, lost like 20 pounds doing the elliptical and hiking, because Catherine took me out on a hike for the first time and I fell in love with it. Tandem wearing, Joey and Angie at the time, wearing like 50 or so pounds across my body. It was intense. So I lost like 15-20 pounds at that point. And then I signed up for my first half marathon and kind of got off the weight loss challenge with Courtney and Mike and stopped worrying about my weight. Started worrying about just enjoying running, and thus I enjoyed food. I love food. If you want to see me happy, give me some really delicious food. And so I started eating, and I gained about 10 pounds back. I was in the 200 range, and that was fine with me because I could run 13 miles without stopping. And that was a bigger deal to me. I felt really good about my body, and it was much leaner, and I just felt good. And then I got pregnant with Zoe, and I started stressing almost instantaneously about, I'd done this before. I know what happens when you're pregnant and you do nothing, and I was worried that if I did nothing, I would just stay there, and I didn't want that. So I made a goal to run and to keep going until a doctor either told me I couldn't or my body couldn't handle it. And as we all know, I ran the entire pregnancy. I did 4 half marathons, all of which I walked a lot of them, and it got progressively more. So the last one, I would say I walked 90% of it, but I finished in the 4-hour time limit that it had set. So I did this thing, and at the end of the pregnancy, I started running about 2 weeks after I had Zoe because I felt ready and I was doing fine. And as my life kind of started to spiral out of control in a way, around May, when things started happening towards the divorce, it was still pretty okay, but it was fine. But then after I had Zoe, and I didn't have the running to kind of deal with my mental health and to deal with my anxiety, I started to worry about other things, and that led me to not eating, like at all. I would maybe have a meal or some snacks during the day. And this wasn't on purpose at that time. It literally was just, my anxiety was so high I didn't want to eat. I didn't think about eating. The idea of eating made me sick. And I just ate and consumed water and Gatorade and tried to keep myself enough because I was still nursing Zoe and I wanted to, of course, feed my child. But I started running, and I was up to 5 miles within 3 or 4 weeks after I had her, and things were fine. I was healthy and whatever. And then when I got here, the same thing was kind of happening. I was having a hard time eating, but then when I did eat, it was like Culver's and cheese curds because I missed it. And I stressed a bit that I was eating like crap suddenly and I would start gaining the weight back. And I'd been about 186 the first time I got on a scale here. And so I had, of course, lost about 20 pounds from the pregnancy. And it wasn't too bad. I just kept running and I would balance it out like I'd always been. Running, Culver's, fine, whatever. And then in September, I was eating probably a little poorly again because I started hanging out with my friend Scott, the one that I steal his dog. And he and I both like food, so we ate food pretty much every time we hung out. And my running was kind of in a lull because it was very hard to get to running to find time. I was doing a lot of more sprinting, weird interval training, and it was stress. But I found a way, and I stressed the weight a bit because I was like, I know what happens when you have a baby. You lose all this weight drastically, and then you gain that plus 20 pounds. And I didn't want that to happen again. And so I just really was conscious, and I was aware. And that's how I kept myself in check. I just stayed really aware of it. And then in October, I started my job, and I stressed the anxiety of like the stagnant part of my life, and now I'm stagnant, and what if I gain weight from being stagnant? So again, I was like, hey, this is an anxiety issue. I will find time to run, and I just won't eat excessive amounts. And again, it was fine. I was just aware of the situation. And then in November, I did my half marathon, and everything was great, and I felt pretty good. And then sometime about a week after, I didn't notice actually at first. I got to a point where I was stressing so much about the weight loss and not training and not having a half marathon in my future and moving, and childcare was happening, and life was getting even more out of control, and I started freaking out, and I stopped eating. And then within a couple days, it was like I stopped eating on purpose as a way to control something in my life. Because it was all feeling very out of control. So I just kind of consumed coffee and would randomly pick at my kids' leftovers, and that was it. And I wasn't running as much because I couldn't find the time. And this was all going hand in hand. Less I ran, the less I would push myself to eat. And then when we moved into our place, I realized this was a problem because I was driving to work one day and I felt the sensation of hunger, and I noticed that mentally there was a problem because I went, oh, that's a nice feeling. That's not a normal feeling, to feel good about the fact that you feel hungry. And that was a red flag, and I caught it. I was like, oh, holy fuck, something is going on here. And I reevaluated my life, and I was like, I need to be held accountable. Because I want to set a good example for my kids, and I don't want to spiral. I want to be healthy for my children. And so I did what I would do in any situation. I let Courtney know. I texted her and said, I'm having issues. I've started not eating, and I had this feeling this morning, and there's a problem. And I, of course, was seeing a therapist at this point, so she was kind of like, okay, you need to talk to your therapist, and I'm here for you. And like every day for like a week, she would be like, what did you eat today? Not harassing me because she's Courtney and she knows how well that would work, but enough to be like, how you doing? And I made an effort to start eating, but the thing was, then I started noticing that I would only eat if I was with someone. So if my sister came to visit me at work and we got tacos or we got food, I would eat. If Scott came over to hang out or I went over to Scott's, we would eat. But then I wouldn't eat any other time. I would snack and consume coffee, and snacking was like barely. And then we moved into our own place, and it got a little bit worse, only because I also didn't live around anybody else, because I would eat around my mom too, and solely I would consume food, sit there and eat potato chips or whatever and talk to them. And I just noticed it was a problem. So then I told the person who I hung out with the most, which was Scott, that like I'm having this issue and it's becoming a problem, because I feel when I say things I feel held accountable, and so I'm better to act on them. And And it helped a lot. My therapist and I talked about it, and she gave me ways to deal with it, to like remind myself like I need to, even if it's like just snacks of veggies and whatever, to just make a point of eating healthier and to consume smaller portions of good things. So like carrots and dip, or salad with whatever, or chicken. And so I, of course, have lost more weight. As I said, I'm like 172, 171. That's smaller than I was in high school. And it's a slight still issue where I have to stay on top of myself. I have to run, and so I got a gym membership because I was having a lot of issues. I will make a point to confess the big, deep, dark secret that it had gotten so bad that one time I had made myself throw up the food that I had eaten because the anxiety was so high from the fact that I ate so much food on my own. It was a pretty bad situation. And I knew it was a problem, so again, I had to talk to Courtney and my therapist and get it in check. Because I don't want to set a bad example for my children, and I don't want to spiral, and I know that these are not good behaviors that I want to set an example of, so I refuse to. But they are things that happen, and this is the kind of stuff that can happen when you're getting divorced or going through any giant life change. It can affect these areas of your life, and you don't realize it because it's not actually an area of life that you would think would be affected, but it is. My self-image is heavily, it's a problem, like, that I'm aware of, that I need to not be too vain, but at the same time, like, feel good about myself, and it's a balancing act. And so I have it in check. I watch myself by doing things like if you've ever been to Costco, they have these chicken skewer things. They're Mediterranean chicken skewer things, I don't know. But I keep myself in check by doing things like, I'll just eat those because I know it's a protein and I know it's good for me and I need to eat. And I like them, so I'll eat them. Or the other night after a run, I did not want to eat, and I knew half of it was because I was like, anything I eat is probably going to be bad for me because I'm just going to throw food at my face. And secondly, when my kids go to bed, I want to cook, but lately it's been so late that I don't want to cook, and so I sat on the phone with Bridget eating globs of peanut butter with celery because it's protein and it's good for you, especially after a 4-mile run. And I've made a valiant effort to keep myself accountable and to be conscious of my eating habits and make sure that I'm eating appropriately and not overeating, but at the same time, if I'm hungry and I haven't had a meal in 12 hours and the only thing I'm going to get is McDonald's because we are busy and knee deep in whatever, I'm going to just do it. And I'm not going to feel guilty and I'm not going to worry about it. Again, I have to mentally tell myself that because my mind wants to control my body and how much I intake because I can't control much else going on. Or at least that's how it feels at times. So this has been an issue, and I wanted to bring it up because a lot of people ask me, Anna, how did you do it? Anna, how did you do it? How did you lose weight? And I always try to give the easy answer of, well, do you see how much I run? And yeah, that's a part of it. I run a lot. I love to run. That's the thing. I love to run. I get to a mile or two into the run, and I could go forever. I like races. Half marathons are so much fun. The energy is incredible. That's the easy answer. The hard answer is this. Divorce is really, really hard. Life changes. Moving across an ocean in a country is very hard. And I have had some mental health concerns for myself and, of course, from others where I've been controlling this too much. And some of that weight loss is because of unhealthy habits that I know are not okay and not easily maintained. People shouldn't just starve themselves to lose weight. So don't follow what I've done and understand that the drastic weight loss that I've had is really mostly because I was pregnant and running, and I lost all that weight because of that. I can't say that I've done all of this on my own. Like, yes, I've done the running and whatever, but pregnancy helped, and some of the weight loss has been unhealthy habits, and it's not all good. I'm, of course, working towards a healthier way of doing things, and I have found that I don't want to eat things like carbs as much anymore, which has helped, of course. I mostly want to eat veggies and proteins. But don't look at me and go like, she's done such a great job, because there are unhealthy habits that have happened as well that has driven some of the weight loss. That being said, that's why I always say my focus now is not about weight loss. My focus is about toning my body so that I can run a marathon next year and have my whole body be able to handle it. It's about maintaining runs and lifting and getting muscle, and in turn needing to eat the right foods to grow muscles in places and tone up and take care of my body. So this has been a thing. And so if you're wondering where it all came from, that's where it came from. I am working very hard to stay on top of it so that I can make healthier choices and set a good example for my kids. So if you want to lose weight, eat healthy, work out. Those are literally the only answers. That is the equation to life. So if you're looking at me and you're wondering how I did it, there's that. But also, if you want to do it, get a gym membership. Go, set the motivation. My kids beg to go to the gym. They are my mini motivators. They hold me accountable now. Actually, Theo's mad because I told him tonight we couldn't go to the gym because they need to take baths, and we don't have enough time when we go to the gym. Get a gym membership. Go. And, just eat healthy. Eat protein and veggies and fruits and healthy for you foods. But also don't deprive yourself, because if you deprive yourself, then you're going to fucking binge eat, because that's a thing people do. I've had unhealthy eating habits. I understand this. So there's no easy answer. None. You want to lose weight, go to the gym, eat healthy. That's simple. Don't look at me and think I have some secret magic cure to weight, or magic answer to weight loss. I don't. I endure all the same complications. I use running to help with everything, and it's maintained everything. So there's the answer to that. I am about to get to work and park and go to work for the day. I swear I've been a safe driver while I've done this. You're in the thing. So I'm not holding my phone, which is also why you see the steering wheel. And I can also look down easily, because I would have to check my speed anyways. So for any criticism that gets thrown my way, it's still a long video, but I feel this is a very important video that people need to watch, especially moms who are concerned about the weight loss and weight gain. And I've been there. I have 4 kids. It took me baby number 4 to realize, like, I should probably stay active. Oh, hey, I should probably not think that every breastfeeding craving needs to be fulfilled. Just because I lost 30 pounds because I had a baby doesn't mean that I'm going to keep that 30 pounds off. That's not how it works. If you just had a baby and you don't want to gain the weight back, now is the time. Don't wait. Just be good, be healthy, and do it in healthy ways. Don't do it in unhealthy ways. So, there's the answer.